Oh, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the MrWarrenHayes Show. I am MrWarrenHayes, and this is a pro wrestling podcast. That's right. We talk about pro wrestling here for a couple of hours. Hope you're into that. Hope you're ready to stick around for some views, reviews, and analyses that only I can provide. Only I. No one else does it. Don't even go look for other people elsewhere. I'm the only guy who does it. Trust me. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. If you're watching this on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, I appreciate it a great deal. Hey, we record this live on Tuesday nights. If you ever want to come jump in, but you're probably, in fact, you're actually, if you're on YouTube right now, you're watching the video on demand, but that's great too. Thank you very much. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel as well. I do a lot more things here than just this podcast. I also do reviews of AEW Dynamite and AEW Collision on a weekly basis on Thursdays and Sundays respectively. So if you want more of that, then you have to subscribe. That's just how it works. I don't make the rules. If you are also, or maybe just only listening to this on your favorite podcast application, because yes, the audio was available as well. This is a great intro so far. Leave a 5-star review in Apple Podcasts or a 5-star rating on Spotify. All these little things, likes on YouTube, all that, it just helps the podcast grow, and it's a tiny little thing you can do, and it's very, very meaningful, and I appreciate it a great deal. Just like I'd appreciate it if you wanted to join us in the Discord, in the Mr. Warren Hayes Show Discord. The link is in the description. Come chat professional wrestling with the lot of us. It's a good time. Listen, we've got a big show stacked up tonight. I don't want to waste too much time here with this intro, but look, we're going to be reviewing New Japan Pro Wrestling's Power Struggle. We're going to be reviewing Impact Turning Point. We're going to be previewing the New Japan Strong Lonestar Shootout show this weekend. And we've got the NWA, NXT, CW stuff to talk about. We've got Dynamite, television. Look, so much stuff. Let's get to it. The weekly wrestling inspection. Thank you for being here. All right, let's kick this off. Listen, I've talked about last Wednesday's Dynamite, right? At length during the review that I do every Thursday here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes or on your favorite podcast application. So I'm assuming, that that you heard it, but I think it, I don't know how much crossover this is. And this is like, the big show. This is the mothership. This is the flagship show right here. So I kind of want to put this into the official record of the show that I really did not like last week's Dynamite. And to me, it is the worst Dynamite that they put on. That is what I said and what I maintain. And that got a lot of people angry. Despite the fact that on the flip side, I got a lot of support. Got some wonderful comments on the video. I got some people reaching out to me in DMs. And good job. You expressed things that I felt about the show that I couldn't quite put into words. And I appreciate that. And I know it's practically been a week. And everything's been, hammered to death. So, I'm not going to hopefully not spend 30 minutes on this. You never know with me. But I do want to put this here and wrap it all up. You'll see where I'm getting here. I thought last week's Dynamite from the KFC Yum Center in Louisville, Kentucky. We're talking about the November 1st Dynamite. I thought it was the worst because for the very first time, it really felt like I was watching a WWE show with a through line of a guy doing, zany hijinks backstage with invisible cameras and, it's like turning around and say, oh, they were there all along and all this kind of bullshit that turned me off of the other guys. That's suddenly seeping into a wrestling product that I had hopes for, that I thought would, create an alternative to professional wrestling in North America outside of the big number one, and would do their own thing, would beat their own drum. You had wrestlers abandoning title matches, and on top of that, just some really ordinary wrestling. There was one good match, but everything else is like, okay. And I finished watching the show, and this is the main impetus of it all, is that I finished watching the show, and I had the exact same feeling I used to have when I would watch Raw, SmackDown on the regular. The exact same feeling. A little frustration, a little emptiness, unfulfilled. I was watching down the clock for this Dynamite to finish. Watching down the clock to watch a Dynamite is something I don't even remember doing. But I distinctly remember looking at the clock and I was like, oh my God, it's 9:56. There's still 4 more minutes of this, which is something that would accompany me with Raw every single week. Where I'm like, oh, is this over yet? Kind of thing. So that's why I was set ablaze in that regard. Because I don't want AEW to become WWE. I don't want sports entertainment light. And on the flip side, I don't need a pay-per-view quality match every week. Because this is what I heard a lot about. Not specifically about me, but I heard this quite a bit. Oh, you do 1 week where it's not a pay-per-view quality match, and then, they complain, they bitch. So no. Now, at some point, we have to nuance our things a little more than this. Because it's never been a question of having pay-per-view quality cards every week. I just want weeks with good pro wrestling on them. That's all. There are numerous editions of Dynamite that I really liked that weren't these so-called pay-per-view quality matches, but and that's fine. But what I want is wrestling. I watch pro wrestling for professional wrestling. And frankly, if I want, skits and long promos and comedy vignettes and all that shit, there is a whole other show for me. What am I saying? There is 7 hours on top of it all that exist out there that I can go get my fill on, and that will be done much better. That will be much better executed. I don't know why. I don't know how anyone is missing the point here. I don't know how anyone sort of turns on the defensive and feels that they have to stand up for AEW when we're going this way, right? When we're going down another path. And I understand why they're going down this path, mind you, right? You're AEW, you're seeing WWE get hot again. They got rid of Vince months ago, right? Bear with me here. We'll never mind the specifics, but they dropped Vince months ago, which was one of the biggest competitive advantages that AEW had for hiring talent, for getting the fan base excited, right? Where it's like, we are the company, that will book stuff differently than Vince. Okay. And then they start getting into they drop Vince and they get the bloodline angle going and it gets hot. and they've been doing tremendous business, and your business is floundering, and you're not filling out arenas. Your ratings are stable and safe. That's fine. You're doing good pay-per-view numbers, sure, but you're not filling out arenas. Your product doesn't feel hot. So I can understand the desire, or not the desire, but the reflex to panic here and say, well, okay, well, what are the other guys doing that is so successful? This? Well, why don't we do this? But the basic question that we can always ask ourselves, and I think the answer is built into the question: when has copying number one ever worked out for number two? When has number two ever risen from its station by copying number one? How has that ever played out? Tony Khan has said multiple times on media calls and whatnot that he loves the idea of being a challenger brand. He, knowing that the top, the number one is so difficult to attain. It's so far off. It's a company, in this case, 40 years head start over AEW. They've got, contacts, resources, the programming experience, the TV experience. Like, no one of good faith expected AEW to come screeching out of the gates, cutting off the legs of WWE and going like, we are the new number ones now. And even Tony was saying, we're a challenger brand. And I'm like, fuck yeah, I can get behind that. I can get behind a challenger brand. You're offering something new. You're offering something different. You're offering another experience, right? Like the example, we usually talk about. It's like Burger King to McDonald's. I know Burger King these days ain't great, but there was a time that was the idea. Burger King knew they could never get the market share, but they were gonna do their best to eat into it as much as possible by offering something different. And the fact is, listen, no matter how hard they try, no matter how much they feel that the brochacho stuff is their bloodline, it's not doing a fraction of the business that the bloodline is doing. Ratings, like I said, stable. Pay-per-view buys, same. Attendance stinks. Attendance stinks. No new butts in seats. You can argue, you can make an absolutely compelling argument that the bloodline stuff helped fill out arenas, helped fill in house shows, and I can absolutely vouch for that. The data speaks for itself. But they think that they have this is their bloodline, but it's not, because it's not delivering, and it's all stuff that we've seen in the past from WWE and that we've grown to dislike. This is why we've spent the better part of 2 decades bemoaning the state of professional wrestling in North America, is because there was no alternative. We could only be force-fed whatever Vince McMahon wanted us to have. That's all. And now we do have the alternative. We do have a true-to-form challenger brand on national television, backed by a billionaire. And what is happening? We're turning into the other guys. Competition makes everything the same. Someone once told me about capitalism. How Twitter slowly started looking like Facebook. And how Facebook slowly started to look like Instagram. And so on and so forth. And the fact is, with all this stuff about, tuning in, becoming more and more WWE, you could, Warren, come on. You're just, you're fabricating things. You're putting things together. You got these fantastical ideas in your head. Well, hang on. We've talked about this multiple times over the course of many months now. When Tony Khan decided to start hiring people to help him out, who did he start bringing in? Jimmy Jacobs, Pat Buck, Sanjay Dutt. What do they all have in common? They all produced at WWE for years. What does he bring in? He brings in Mike Mansory, right? Senior Vice President, who is now Senior Vice President, co-executive producer of AEW. You know, the guy who was supposed to take up the reins from Kevin Dunn in WWE. That guy who suddenly up and left. He was gone from the company. They swooped him up. So he's filling everything up with all former WWE producers, former WWE guys. Buck, Jacobs, Dunn, all producers, by the way, who left before the company became successful again. Just saying. Then you got the WWE talent coming in. All I'm saying is that the fingerprints are there. The marks are there. Nothing happened here out of pure mystery. You got people whispering into his ear, he being Tony Khan, and saying we should do this, we should do that. And he's going, okay, let's do it. Because as much as I would like to sit here and tell you this is all Jimmy Jacobs' fault, I don't know why. It's not something that I want to do. You know what? Look, figure of speech, okay? As much as I would like to point the blame to any of these hires and these new people that were brought in to help right the ship or what the fuck ever, or, you know, unload the responsibilities off of Tony Khan, it is still Tony Khan's show. And the buck stops with him. He's the guy who calls the shots. So regardless of anything that happens on the show, no matter whose ideas is what, Tony Khan is stamping a big old yes, a big old check mark, a big old okay, a big old grade A. That's what he's doing. And this past Dynamite was the culmination of weeks of little sports entertainment stuff getting peppered here and there into something that I no longer recognized. Or in fact, that I recognized, but gave me the heebie-jeebies. We got ourselves a little old episode of WWE. You know, sometimes we can be facetious and talk about, you know, Wednesday Night Raw. This is what we got last week. That's exactly what we got. Why am I talking about this? Well, because, like I said, I want to have this on the record of the main show right here. I don't want to I feel like I'm hiding on the secondary show on the, he's just doing this on his reviews and whatnot. No, I want this here officially on what I consider to be the flagship here. And because it is important to criticize these things. It is important to criticize what you love. I have said this multiple times, and I will continue to say this because this is something that I truly believe. That criticism, true criticism, always comes from a place of love. You will never, ever criticize or feel passionate about things happening to something that you enjoy if you do not enjoy it. That's why, you know, and the worst that can happen here is that I'll drift away. That's the worst that can happen, is that they'll push me away. But in the meantime, I'm going to fight and claw so that they know that I have problems here. So that it's out there, and that whether you agree or disagree, you hear them as well. You don't have to agree with me, 100%, 50%, or even 2%. You can throw this all out the window and say, you know, this Hayes fella, he's nuts. Time for him to take his medicine and go to bed. That's okay. Now, I will continue to do this, and I feel like I do it well. If I want to pat myself on the back a little bit here, I feel like when I criticize, when I sit here and I talk about things that I liked and I did not like, I think I'm overall fair because I can always point to the reasons. And I think my reasons are well grounded. I think I come up with valid points, valid arguments to support what I'm talking about, so that it just doesn't come off as a hater, which is what a lot of people have apparently decided to paint me as. Just an old man, you're just an old hater. The way I see it, that a lot of the inability of people to criticize things that they love is problematic, because I feel that there's a lot of these people who have made AEW part of their identity and therefore cannot bring themselves to criticize AEW because they have become so ingrained in it that it reflects then poorly on them. Then it comes across as, oh, well, we have made bad choices. We have exposed ourselves. And we are not poor. We are not poor in character. It is everyone else, because our thing is us. The thing we like is us. And I'm talking AEW, but it's the same thing with WWE. It's the same thing with Marvel movies and so on and so forth. People who make their identities out of a thing. And I think this is what happens, because it means that they have character faults. And if you go back, if you hopped on to AEW from the start, if you were there for the grassroots buildup, for the press conferences outside where Conrad Thompson was introducing Cody Rhodes and the Bucks and Chris Jericho and Pac and Brandy and Hangman Page, if you were there for these events, you know how much they were ready to buck the trends. They being AEW. That's what they wanted to do. That was their mission statement. We are going to be the alternative. We are going to be different. We're going to buck the trends and go against everything North American wrestling had become. Featuring guys that Vince would have never given a chance to. Because they're too small, they don't fit the mold, whatever reasons. And then they do it on a stage that no competitor in about 20 years had been able to do. Head up on national, wide-reaching television, backed by a billionaire, NFL money, and get on TV and do it on a mainstream level. I'm not coming out here swinging hysterically. I don't think I'm coming off as hysterical. I can point to problems. I can point to good things. And these have been coming in, they've been being peppered in for weeks. This is a culmination. I reached my breaking point. But it's funny how no one will tell you you're hysterical when you are praising the product. Nobody tells me I'm speaking in absolutes when I say Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay is the greatest match I've ever seen. No one told me, Warren, ho ho ho, pump the brakes. Take it easy, pal. No one gets excited when I say this might be the greatest Dynamite of all time. No one tells me, I think you're just an angry old man. But when I turn around and I say this was the worst Dynamite I've ever seen, oh, the brigade comes in, the shields come up. There is such a thing as the stand up for AEW crowd. Now, this is something that I have observed. I have seen it with my own two eyes. And they sound exactly like WWE defenders have been for the past, 10 years at this point? Bringing up very similar arguments. Oh, it's so-and-so's fault. It's not so-and-so's fault. Oh, you're just a hater. Oh, you don't understand where they're going with this. It sounds really fucking familiar. I realize that there are a bunch of people, because of how they have made this their identity, that they just want me to say, or me or anyone else, they just want us to like what they like, right? That's why there is oodles of podcasts that will just sit there and say, oh, this was great. Oh, this wrestler, he's everything to me. And it'll just work. And people will flock to that. And they'll get more views and listens than I ever will. Because I understand. Sometimes you don't want to get out of your comfort zone. You just want to hear something reassuring, right? For some people, they turn on, nature sounds, falling rain against a tin roof, that kind of shit. Some people just want to hear that the thing they like is fine, and that's all they want. That's fine. But what I offer is not comfort. If you want to hear that everything is fine, you can go anywhere else. But if you want criticism, loving, adoring criticism of pro wrestling, if you want to be challenged in what is happening, you want a different perspective, that's what I have to offer. And I'm not going to change that. So if I come out and I say, that was the worst Dynamite I have seen, I mean it. And if it hurts your sensibilities, well, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it was okay just to make sure that your feelings are safe. Because you know what? Here's the thing. I think we deserve a better product than what we saw last week. How about that? It's not a question of just dunking on it for dunking on it. I think we deserve better. I think we shouldn't lower our standards. I think there should be a true competitive offering out there in the marketplace. I think there should be. Not two of the same, three of the same, two being a little more watered down offerings. No. That's what I believe in. That's what I think we should get. And it goes beyond any company. Never cape for companies, folks. I've told you all this millions of times. Stand up for talent, don't stand up for companies. Companies will always ultimately let you down. That's a record I haven't put on in a while. But here we go. That's what we do here on the MrWarrenHayes show. Let's lighten the mood. We've got some business talk before we get into the reviews here. We have some TV deals stuff over the past couple of days. Let's start with the NWA. This all connects. God, I love pro wrestling. So, not that long ago. Let me see when this came out. On October 18, right? Did we talk about this? October 18? Yeah, we did. Yes, we did. We talked about the CW, the NWA. There was a report that was put out saying that the NWA reportedly signed 2 television deals with the CW. This was reported by Nick Hausman over on House of Wrestling, basically saying that Billy Corgan had been teasing this, and that and apparently the NWA was going to have 2 television shows on the CW. And to be clear, not their streaming service, which I heard about just like today. Apparently there's a CW Seed is what they call it. I was like, what the fuck is that? But there you go. CW Seed. And the it's not going to be on the streaming network. This was going to be on on TV, on broadcast television. The CW had this. The NWA had this. 2 shows. Apparently, the rumor was going around that it was, of course, NWA Power and a reality show, which apparently had been already going on for months. There'd been cameras backstage, and filming for that had been ongoing. So we got that report 2 weeks ago. Then last weekend, was it last weekend? No, not this past weekend, the weekend before that. The NWA holds a pay-per-view. Sane, right? That's how you pronounce it, right? Sane, on their Halloween pay-per-view, their Halloween-themed pay-per-view, which apparently sold 212. 212 pay-per-views. Is that a lot? Is that a lot? Is that little? Folks, let me just say it again. It sold 212 pay-per-views. So they have their show. I didn't watch it. But it was heavily shared thereafter that there was this one moment on the show where Father James Mitchell, aka the Sinister Minister, was, I don't know, somewhere, in the open area, like not on stage, but close to. I don't know exactly where it was. I don't know what the setup exactly was, but it was at a table. There was fans, and there was Sal Renaro and Gags the Gimp, and Sal and Gags the Gimp and Father James Mitchell were accompanied by a couple of young ladies. Let's put it that way. How about that? And on the table, mounds of what appeared to be cocaine. So you have these people partaking in these mounds of alleged cocaine. You've got we have Sal Renaro who's there, and he's like, he's doing goofy. He's being ridiculous, in the way that he's snorting, and so you're like, okay, that's not, he's not doing it for real. Gags the Gimp is there, and you have the ladies there, but you do see Father James Mitchell a couple of times. He's got a little flask, the little spoon thing. He's going, and I'm like, is he really doing coke? Anyway, and the announcers are there, and they're saying, oh, wow, it's getting wild here tonight, kind of bullshit, edgy shit that 212 people watched. So they do the spot. It makes the rounds. People rightfully mock it because it is the most try-hard, edgy thing I had seen in a long time in a professional wrestling environment. Like in a business that really tries hard sometimes, this was prime rib try hard stuff. So he does that, and according once again to Nick Hausman, who's on this story, he said that CW officials weren't exactly happy with the spot. Let me read here the quote here from Nick Hausman's report here. As it stands, House of Wrestling is told that there is an active push by those higher up at the CW to have the NWA's content air solely on their CW app and not on the actual television airwaves. Apparently, when negotiations were going on to bring the NWA to the CW, Corgan, as in William Patrick Corgan, at Billy, Corgan was told that the network would not be watching the pay-per-views and would only be concerned with what happened on the TV show airing on their platform. So it turns out, Hausman said there's a 90% chance that both shows, this is the quote, 90% chance that both shows will now air on the app as opposed to TV. The outlet, House of Wrestling, I should say, also reported that the cocaine spot was Billy Corgan's idea. Pushed for it to be on the pay-per-view. The reality show, by the way, was entirely bankrolled by Billy Corgan, just so you know. And they were excited to sell some. They were excited to sell some ads on that. So essentially, because of an absolute nonsense moment, now everything might be flushed down the drain here. So this came out. This report November 4th, so 3 days ago. Oh, what can happen in 3 days? Well, listen, first of all, Lucas Charpiot, nice to see you. Bonsoir et bienvenue. Nathan, nice to see you. Yeah, Spot. What else? Yes, it was a moment in the show. Maybe that would have been a better term, but nice to see you. And Jason Major, nice to see you, member of the MrWarrenHayes show. It's very good to see you. So, let's move forward 3 days to November 7, which is when we're recording this show right now. November 7, 2023. What happens then? Well, PW Insider puts out a little Mike Johnson. You have to say Mike Johnson from PW Insider right now, right? You have to do that now because now there's an asshat Mike Johnson in American politics, like the new Speaker of the House, or what the fuck? I don't know. But it's like now I'm like we have to say PW Insider Mike Johnson as opposed to just Mike Johnson. But anyway, way to derail your own shit, Warren. So PW Insider posted today a little update saying exclusive, NXT's going to the CW. And we all sort of have a little chuckle, a little gasp, like, wait, what? What? How? Excuse me? And, Mike's sources are solid. They're solid, right? Here we go. The CW. It gets picked up by the trades. The announcement is made officially. I'm going to read off the Deadline article here, deadline.com. The CW adds WWE's NXT to sports lineup. 5-year deal will see showcase for up-and-coming wrestlers move from USA Network. Let's read through these little details because this is big news, folks. This is big news. Don't get me wrong. The CW will officially become the official broadcast home of WWE NXT in a new 5-year deal that will showcase for WWE's up-and-coming stars move from USA Network in October 2024. The network will air 52 live weekly events throughout the season, making NXT the latest addition to the CW's growing roster of live sports, including ACC football and basketball games airing Saturdays throughout the season, and Live Golf. The CW is also the new home of weekly studio series Inside the NFL, and will broadcast the NASCAR Xfinity Series beginning in 2025. The network said it will soon offer more than 500 hours of sports programming. WWE renewals have been a bit of musical chairs. In September, TKO announced that WWE and NBC Universal have agreed to a 5-year domestic media rights deal that will bring Friday Night SmackDown to USA Network, also starting in October 2024, exiting its current home on Fox. The deal is said to be worth $200 million. Raw WWE's top-rated flagship property that airs on Mondays on USA Network, is not yet spoken for when its deal is up. Financial terms for the CW's NXT deal weren't released, but Deadline hears it's more than double the $15 million a year price tag of the current contract. We're thrilled, blah, 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 says Dennis Miller. No, not that Dennis Miller. Another Dennis Miller, the president of the CW. And the CW has made impressive moves over the last year, blah, 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 says WWE President Nick Khan. Everyone is thrilled and excited and happy, and so on and so forth. Interesting. Very interesting. So, I know that there's a certain amount of snickering that comes along with it. The CW, home of the Arrowverse, home of the Gilmore Girls, home of Party of Five, home of the Riverdale, home of Seventh Heaven. I understand that there's jokes to be made here. And please get your jokes off. This is what this is for. You're not touching any of that money. Neither am I. So the least I can do is fire off a couple of firecrackers here. Zach McGibbon, nice to see you. Oh my God. Welcome to the podcast. So, look, let's have the jokes, but also let's take a moment here to just think about this in the current context of the CW. Because this is maybe not the CW that you remember. This is not your teenage CW. in August 2022, the CW changed ownership, right? Warner Bros, CBS, it was a joint venture, whatever the fuck. And they sold 75% of their controlling shares to Nexstar Media Group, okay? Which is one of the largest television station owners in the United States. They own like 200 television stations across the US. You know, does this sound familiar? It's kind of like a Sinclair kind of deal with previously Ring of Honor, right? So, you know, it's not a huge power broker. It's not a Disney. It's not a, an NBC Universal. It's not a Fox. It's not a Viacom. It's these guys, Nexstar. So just think about it for a second. 200 stations, and this is a broadcast television. And I know I don't even know what channel the CWs are. Oh, well, you're probably going to figure it out. If you want to watch NXT, you're going to figure it out. You've got a full calendar year to figure it out. October 2024. You got a full year to figure it out. To add it to your cable package or whatever the fuck, right? But the thing here is that, and this is what we have to keep in mind here, and this is what makes this interesting, is that I really think, hey, Nick Nutter, nice to see you and welcome. I think that, there might be a little more of a strategic partnership here between NXT and the CW here, with CW committing to live sports. We read it in the Deadline article. Right now, they are focusing, what am I saying? Going hard on live sports content, which, as you know, is king of television right now. Sports rights and so on and so forth. That's the king of TV right now. It's not, scripted entertainment with their fucking, strikes and whatnot going on right now and keeping everyone no. This is where the money's at. And they're doing minor league things. Like, they're not going after the NBA, the NFL, the NHL. Is the NHL a big league? I don't know. It is here anyway. But they do have ACC sports, right? what is it? The Atlantic Coast Conference, right? So they do have college sports, football and basketball, Live Golf, the PGA's competitor, NASCAR Xfinity, which is essentially NXT for NASCAR. It's the NASCAR minor leagues, right? So, and on top of that, they're adding NXT to the program. So it just makes a lot of sense. So I can absolutely see at this point, Nick Khan sitting across the table from Dennis Miller. No, not that Dennis Miller. At some point, we're going to have to stop that. But sitting across the table from Dennis Miller and being like, yeah, we can be part of this new vision that you have for the CW. It all does make sense, so on and so forth. I don't think there's going to be all that much scripted entertainment on the CW moving forward. This is where they're leaning into. This is where they're going. I think this is really interesting. And look, here's the thing is that, as you know, WWE, unlike other sports, WWE never stops. It is a 52-week season. That's always, we've talked about this multiple times when, in our multiple shows about the upcoming television rights and so on and so forth. One of the greatest appeals that WWE has is the fact that they are always in production, that there's no off season, right? That's a big deal. It's a huge deal. So, again, let's get our jokes off. That's fine. But when you look at it from a certain perspective, you're like, hey, wait a second. This is all kind of making sense. And no, we're not going to have, what is Jughead doing in the Impact Zone? That's not that. I'm sorry. I know it has no correlation. Hang on. What is Lexis King doing with Veronica? Oh, that's awful. And I wouldn't wish that on anyone, Veronica or whoever. Rory could absolutely take Lexis King. He could take him like that and just drop his ass. He could. Fascinating stuff. I think this is, and it's probably also a good move for CW, because if they want to lean into live sports, right? If that's what they want to lean into, well, now they'll have programming for not the weekend, where most sports happen, most sports broadcasts take place. Now you can have an NXT on a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night. At first, I'm not going to lie. At first, I was like, man, this doesn't come across as an W, excuse me. I can't see how WWE thinks that this is a win here. But, and here's the other thing, right? Is like, WWE, USA Network, I should say. It was WWE. It was essentially the WWE Network, right? USA Network has thrived on WWE programming for the majority of its existence. And when they kicked them off the network, they practically begged them to come back. Was that how it worked? No, that's not how it worked at all. Excuse me, I'm doing revisionist history here. But the point still stands, is that USA Network and WWE, they're like, two peas of the same pod. You can absolutely make an argument over the past 10, 15 years that no WWE on USA Network, no USA Network. Like nothing even comes close to generating the ratings that Monday nights do for USA. So, where does that leave the NWA? I'm sorry. Look, it's either I'm sort of wondering if we're not witnessing live right now the court bowering of Billy Corgan right now. It is the most typical WWE thing to just come on in and flip the tables on negotiations. Again, let's be serious for a second here. Again, let's get our jokes off because it's fun. It's fun. It's fine. But let's be calculated about this for a second. There's no way that between NWA Samhain, there's no way that between NWA Samhain and November 7 that suddenly we came up with a deal for NXT, right? Like, I hope can we agree on this? Chat, everyone listening, watching, can we agree on this? The negotiations for NXT on the CW started way before the high spot, as we were talking about in the chat, the high spot with Father James Mitchell, right? I think we can agree on that because it doesn't make sense. Like, in the time, you don't negotiate a contract, a deal of this size, just like poof out of the gate. And it's like, yeah, we're all coming together. It just doesn't happen that fast. So who was playing who here? Was the CW playing both sides here? Or, as we pointed out in the chat, thank you, and I wanted to mention this, is this a situation where TNN dumped ECW for WWF? Is this essentially what it was? Where it's like, oh yeah, we'll bring in your rinky-dink production value, your little production there, William Patrick Corgan, NWA's William Patrick Corgan at Billy on X, formerly Twitter. And then meanwhile, like, honestly, if this is what happened, and Dennis Miller, not that Dennis Miller, president of the CW, Dennis Miller, if he, in the meantime, was chatting it up with Nick Khan, I mean, our boy's a shark here. I kind of respect it to be so, backhanded and vicious. And then when it's time, it's like, no, we're gonna drop the coke heads. There's something just invariably funny about it. And karmatic, where Corgan has always overshot. He's always overshot the value of the NWA and what they do and now I think he's getting a real look. I think he's getting a real dose of fucking cold water reality here. Where it's like the NWA is third, fourth banana here. I hear more people excited about the return of TNA than I heard about NWA going on the CW, where everyone was more like, exchanging glances. It's like, what? That's hilarious to me. So, this is a story. And it's a good story. It's a good fucking story. Because now, look, NWA wants to go play in the big boys leagues, right? They thought they had it in the pan, And you know what? Maybe the report that Hausman got, and I'm not discrediting what he got, but maybe the report he got was just the catalyst that they needed to be like, no, we're throwing this out, right? Maybe they were just looking for an out. They were just looking for a reason to get out. They wanted to burn the deal. I'm watching Succession, season 4. You know what I'm talking about. Kendall and Roman. They want to burn the deal, but they're not going to outright say, we're burning the deal. They're going to try and get the other guy to burn the deal. This is what they did. They pulled a Kendall and Roman on us. Shout out the Roys. Bleed the Swede. But that's essentially it. This is pretty much what they did here. That's it. They saw an opportunity to downgrade their, whatever they had going with the NWA's William Patrick Corgan, and they decided to just announce, go right ahead and say, no, NXT. And frankly, the NWA going to the CW, this was news that was sort of circulating, especially around the voices of wrestling guys, over the summer. We had known this for a bit. So this is a story that we'll keep an eye on. Now, I want to make sure that I'm measured here as well, constructive, and, I still maintain that that the NWA is an important part of the pro wrestling ecosystem in North America, right? I think what we have, what the areas there that guys and gals can go pick and choose to work at and get fired from somewhere or get released and then go work somewhere. I think this is crucial. Okay, so I take no joy in the idea that the NWA is falling onto more hard times. This is not a pun, but I don't take pleasure in that, because ultimately, in this kind of bullshit, it's the talent that suffers, and that sucks, right? You may not like EC3, right? But you've got, Kenzie Page underneath. You've got Max the Impaler. You've got Camille. You've got Colby Carino. You got a whole bunch of people who are legitimately talented and are doing good work and need this place to land, to improve, to grow, to get paid, But as we just pointed out, I cannot not like the chaos. The chaos in pro wrestling is the best thing. Guys, gals, non-binary pals. It always has been. The status quo stinks. It has always stunk and will continue to stink and ruins pro wrestling. No, that's it. See, Chad is right. See, it's not the NWA. We like to call Corgan, clown shoes or whatnot, because he's a bit of a dork. And there's something satisfying about him being getting a tall glass of cold water being poured down his scrawny neck, down his world as a vampire spine. There's something good about that. But again, I don't want the NWA to fail. I don't want any wrestling promotion to fail. I want more and more spots for pro wrestlers to perfect their art, to work, to get a job, to have they beat up their bodies so fucking hard for our entertainment. The least they could do is, get a steady paycheck, make some good money out of it while their body can hang on to it, right? Before they hit 40 and they're breaking down. I think that's good. I think it's a good, healthy ecosystem, and it also helps the cream rise. There's so many good things about a healthy wrestling ecosystem in North America. That's why, and then an MLW again. We sit here and we point and make fun of Court Bauer, and we have all the reasons in the world to do so. But I don't want MLW to go away. And I'm glad Impact TNA is, seems to be gearing up for a resurgence, a second, third, fourth wind, but we joke, but it's also good. it's not hate, it's love. It's so many things at once. Just embrace the chaos. Embrace the fucking chaos. It's so good. 27th win. Yeah, exactly. Oh, but hey, you can rest assured this is the kind of story that we love here on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. When I say we, I mean me. So that's what we're going to be talking about. And since we're on TV deals and whatnot, we got a bit of an unprecedented opportunity not that long ago. Last week when we had Lachlan Murdoch, right, the CEO of Fox. He was doing an earnings call and answered a question regarding why Fox had decided to not renew WWE SmackDown specifically. And this is not something, I believe it was the first question that was asked out the gate when when I heard that, I was like, wow, okay, alrighty. And I didn't know it was, such a pressing issue. We just wanted to get it off the bat while, Lachlan was still in the mood to answer questions before the mood was taken away. And this is what he had to say. And it's very interesting. And like I said, unprecedented access to a C-level executive of a fucking conglomerate, right? You don't get to hear these questions in regards to pro wrestling very often. This is what he had to say in regards to why SmackDown was, the rights to SmackDown were not renewed by Fox. Quote, "We were not hitting the advertising numbers due to the audience of the WWE for our return on investment to be above the levels that we would accept. But also, we didn't attribute enough significant retransmission revenue to the WWE either. So it made sense for us to move on. They've been a great partner for many years, but just quite simply, we're very disciplined, and the return on investment didn't meet our pretty disciplined parameters. So we wish them luck, and we've moved on from them." Oh. That kind of stings, right? It has to. We've moved on for them. We talked about this a little bit on the members only stream on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. Join us. Become a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel right here. Just hit the join button and join us. And we were talking about this on Friday, on the last one, where, the news had come out and I was thinking about it and I was like, the question that we're asking ourselves as a collective, but not really, but the question that we're asking ourselves here nonetheless is, why is this happening if the viewership on Fox was so high, right? Why was, weekly, very high total viewership, number one in the demo most weeks. All the KPIs, or at least the KPIs that we assume are KPIs, key performance indicators, that we assume are proper KPIs for advertising and so on and so forth, were very high week after week. They didn't really flounder. They were always very good. Why all of a sudden does Fox say, no, this wasn't meeting our needs? Is there my theory, my gut says that there's demographic information that accompanies all of this that we're not privy to, and nuances quite a bit what we see in the weekly ratings from WrestleNomics and what is actually transmitted to advertising agencies and advertising agencies and network executives and whatnot. Are we battling things here? And this was my thought that I had on Friday. Are we still battling the perception that pro wrestling fans are not a target audience that is coveted by high spending advertisers. You know, there's additional information, demographic information that is collected by Nielsen and the like regarding your viewing patterns, right? Your household income, your education level, right? Is this part of what's going on here? Is the overall level of education not high enough to justify getting more advertising revenue out of it, right? Is it just that the audiences who watch pro wrestling don't have disposable income? The income is lower, whatever, right? You see where we're going with this. That is my gut feeling. Like, I'm kind of exposed to this in my day job, I guess, and my regular job, my shoot job, as we like to say. So if I were doing a competitive analysis based on this information here, that is what my gut would say. Okay, I have nothing to substantiate this. Obviously, I don't have the demographic. Trust me, if I had the demographic information on the WWE viewing audience, I'd gladly share it with you, but I don't. The instinct, gut, coupled with what I do for a living. So I'm like, maybe there's all these correlations that we can put together here, and I think it makes sense. And this is what I was thinking about on Friday, and then this weekend, it's WrestleNomics, Brandon Thurston, Jesse Collins, they all get together to talk about this, amongst other topics. But they're talking about this, and they're kind of making a point. Not making a point, excuse me. They're sort of backing up my theory unwittingly, but they still are. And by the way, follow Brandon, follow WrestleNomics, follow Jesse. They're fantastic. If you want, next level type of analysis, if you want to continue in this vein of very smart people, go follow people who are smarter than me. So Brandon this week pulls out information that was offered up by Adweek, renowned industry publication for the advertising industry, marketing industry. He got ad rates for Friday nights sourced from 6 different agencies. Okay, so he was able to tell us that according to Adweek, a televised ad on Friday Night SmackDown was worth $51,000, right? Which is a lot. And it is slightly under the rate for Shark Tank, which still is. We're not done yet. Don't bring, which is the main competition for SmackDown on Friday nights over on ABC. An ad on Shark Tank is $55,000. So SmackDown just a little underneath it. And Brandon as well, as I was wondering, he was asking the same question. How can SmackDown be beneath Shark Tank if there are better ratings in the demo for SmackDown, a higher overall, overall viewership, although that doesn't really count all that much when it comes to that. Like overall viewership, it's the demographic information that counts. But yet Shark Tank, their ads are more expensive. So is this the thing, right? Does that connect to my gut feeling that I was having, where maybe you can attract bigger spending, more quote unquote premium advertisers to Shark Tank because the demographic might be more in a position to covet and then purchase your product that you're hawking. On the on the members only stream, I was giving the example of Mercedes-Benz, right? Mercedes-Benz will go all out, let's say, and I'm just throwing this out there during let's say, the US Open for tennis, right? And they will buy advertising spots there, which come at a premium price regardless, but no doubt, and I think you all can feel it in your gut as well, I think you can all agree that the income of the income of a tennis aficionado is probably higher than a wrestling fan. So that's why they head on over there, as opposed to, they being Mercedes-Benz, as opposed to on a Friday night SmackDown, where it's like, what's the point of advertising here? Because, again, we're just speculating, right? Because probably the income, the overall household income of the demo is too low for them to be like, yeah, we're interested in advertising here. Might be different on another show. So this is where I'm going with the Shark Tank theory, is that we just have a different, we have a substantially different persona of viewer that exists for that exists for the Shark Tank. That could be it. Hey, Anakin JMT, nice to see you. Welcome, and hello to Rated R Louie as well. Nice to see you. It's been a while. So that could be part of it, right? And then Brandon, he does some math. Don't ask me to explain it. He's the math guy. He does some math on air, and he comes to the final sum that SmackDown does $2 million in ad sales per show. Substantial amount. But how much does Fox pay per show, per week for SmackDown? If we break down the deal, it's about $4 million per episode, right? That should be the standard. It should be about $4 million per episode. So straight out the gate here, $2 million in ad sales for a $4 million expenditure, they're losing money, right? They're not making their money back, and you're like, oh yeah, the return on investment is terrible. But Brandon argues, and so do I echo the argument that this is probably a standard in, maybe even sports in general or whatever, that you cannot recoup all of your production money specifically only on ad revenue. I don't think it is feasible. And it's probably something that, Raw has to contend with, AEW has to contend with. That's probably how it goes. Brandon even brought up the idea of being a loss leader. Sure. These are all things that make sense. But then, as you may recall in Lachlan Murdoch's quote, he said that we didn't attribute enough significant retransmission revenue to the WWE either, which, in other words, you can also call them carriage fees, right? Which is basically TV networks charging cable operators to carry their station. Okay, this is a staple of this is the basis of how cable works, is that the TV stations will pay a certain amount in regards to the ratings that they get. And this is where ratings become important when it comes to cable, because if you get the viewership, that means more people will want to order your television network off of their cable packages, right? Off of cable. So the more people watch your show, the more money you can charge the cable operator to distribute your channel. And the cable operator will want to hang on to your highly viewed network, because otherwise they'll lose subscribers. Oh, and they're charging you a little more this year? Well, we'll jack up the price for subscribers. That's essentially how it works, right? And this traditionally was cable stations doing this to cable networks, but broadcast television now does that too. Broadcast television networks also now charge a carriage or a retransmission fee onto cable networks as well, even though they're over the air. But if they're going to be on a cable package, they're going to be there. Well, they're going to charge them as well, and that makes, like I said, the ratings are important there, and that's probably where a lot of the networks are able to recoup their investments, since they can't cover them entirely with ad revenues, strictly speaking. And Lachlan was essentially saying here that we didn't get enough money from adding SmackDown for the past 4 years from cable operators. We weren't able to how did he say it? To attribute enough significant retransmission revenue to the WWE. He was basically saying the part that WWE had to play in this was not significant enough for us to recoup more money. Interesting. So what does all this ultimately mean? It means that since it means two things, actually. It means that that Fox was not able, through ad sales, but probably mostly through retransmission fees, carriage fees. They weren't able to recoup their investment enough to maintain WWE on their network. So it was underperforming for them on that level. That also means, and I think this is significant, this also means that something that'll we've talked about in the past, but maybe not as often as other topics, but there are things out there in regards to negotiations with in regards to ratings and performance on television that we, as a bunch of goons just out here in the general public, don't have access to. And there are key performance indicators. There are targets that need to be hit that we don't see, and that are clearly not being hit. And that basing ourselves exclusively on ratings information, like the raw data that we get from WrestleNomics every week and so on and so forth, the viewership, the demo, and saying, wow, what a success, and so on and so forth, means jack shit. When you have SmackDown, which was doing fantastic numbers objectively, doing great numbers week after week, it was not hitting the targets that it needed to be hitting. So Fox goes, well, there you go. We cannot re-sign at this price. Just as simple as that. So our analysis of ratings, I would not say is inherently flawed, but there are nuances that exist to it that we've all kind of expected. We all kind of assumed that there was more than just, hey, they did really well in the 1849. There was more nuanced analysis than that was going on that we're just not privy to. We all sort of assumed that. But the way that we interpret ratings data, the way that we take a look at it, the way that we benchmark it as success or not is flawed. So it's not inherently flawed, because it does give us good indications as to what's doing well or not. But ultimately, there's so much going on behind the scenes. There's so much demographic data being pushed around and analyzed that we just don't see. That it becomes kind of, I don't want to say pointless, but we need to move on from the great arguments of, oh, well, it's doing great in the ratings, so, it's a success. Clearly, success is very, very relative. No one can deny that SmackDown on Friday nights no one can deny that it was a success. And yet, Fox decided to not renew because it wasn't hitting its targets. And that's just how it goes. So they're heading back to cable. We'll see what happens with Raw, but that's ultimately the analysis that I think we have to take out of this, that we have to take home. It's just a confirmation of a lot of gut feelings, of a lot of things that a lot of us feel and that we saw. And when we would say we have to stop analyzing ratings like it's the Monday Night Wars in 1996, because the business has changed so tremendously since then, and data collection has changed dramatically, and we don't analyze, collect, or break down data like we used to because there's so much of it. Everything has changed. We cannot base ourselves on that. So that's why, like when people say you have to get Rampage off of Friday nights, it's only doing so many, and put it on another night or just cancel it altogether. We don't have the full picture. Again, maybe what they're doing is spot on perfect for what is it, TNT, TBS, whatever network, Warner Bros, Discovery want. Maybe it's just like spot on what they need. And they're gleefully happy. And they're going, this is great. Works out perfectly. Because there's all this data that we don't have. This is the pudding right now. And you look into it and, hey, the proof is right there. Kairi Sane is back. Officially, we knew this was coming. This was, you had to be sheltered to not know that this was happening. She had announced that, she was leaving Stardom again, that she was honoring a couple of dates, that she still had, a few independent dates that she wanted to run in, early this fall. And next thing you know, she shows up at the Saudi show this week to help Io Shirai defeat Bianca Belair, two of the original three pillars of Stardom. The other, of course, being Mayu Watani. Look, what's my take on this? I'm glad she's back for her. It's a shame that I'm not going to see her wrestle as often anymore. I guess, she gets, she's going to get the WWE nerf, Kairi during the, this run that she had, this little run that she had back in Stardom and wrestling for the New Japan women's title and all that. It was a lot of fun. And, I know many WWE fans did not watch any of her matches that she had in Japan. But if they did, then they would really see how great of a wrestler Kairi Sane is, because she is tremendous. Kairi Sane, Kairi Hojo. So now she's back to being nerfed, and okay. And look, if she wants to come back to North America, work these dates, make a shitload of money, and not put her body through the rigors of Japanese wrestling, you can't fault her. Like, she's up there in age, and we know she's already banged up. she has a litany of injuries, and that's just how it is. I can't fault her from coming in, work a softer style. She doesn't have to go as hard as she does. And yeah. It's just a shame because I won't be seeing her anymore, really, except on PLEs occasionally when she'll be in tag teams. That's the thing, right? You know, it's like, I hope no one is like, you know, excited for the big Kairi Sane push. Oh, Nathan, are you going to the Lonestar Shootout match card, I should say? That's going to be dope. What a great card. We're going to get to it very soon. We're going to talk about that. I'm excited for that. Oh boy. Then we have, because it's contract. Look, contracts, right? And I love contracts. I love this. I love the chaos around contracts. I love the Will Ospreay situation right now where no one knows what he's doing and all the options are open. It's like, oh, WWE is really interested. Yeah, well, of course they should be fucking interested. Of course. There were anything like a self-respecting world-class professional wrestling outfit? Of course. They're going to want to be interested in the top international stars like Will Ospreay. This is not news to me. It should not be news to anyone. Nor should it be news that they're interested in Giulia. Stardom superstar Giulia started to break into North America, make some waves here. New Japan Strong Women's Champion currently right now. Was reported, according to a report from PW Insider, that WWE has been courting Giulia. And again, with reason. It's I don't know why this is news. Because the report is WWE interested in, you know, Japanese superstar. And Giulia. And I'm like, sure, of course. Then later on in the article, it's written, and she's, things are well advanced and she should be expected to be at the Performance Center later this month. Well, that's your lead. That's news, actually. As opposed to, well, they're interested in signing Giulia. Of course they should be. We're in a competitive environment for pro wrestlers here. They should be. They should be fighting for Will Ospreay and Giulia. What are we talking about? But, as Chad just pointed out, Dave Meltzer sort of poured a nice big glass of cold water on top of that. And he said, he confirmed that Giulia is under contract to Bushiroad until March. So, she ain't showing up at the PC in November. Unless she wants to start an international incident. I'm here for the chaos, don't get me wrong. Giulia's tremendous. She is absolutely tremendous. She's one of the best women out there. Fantastic pro wrestler. But and she's got star power written all over. She's got presence. She's tremendous. You know, I've said this multiple times. The minute that North American audiences start seeing her more, they're going to just latch onto her, not gravitate. They're just gonna like magnets, whomp, and they'll never let her go. She's tremendous. And why wouldn't you want this woman in your promotion? She's tremendous. Not unlike Kairi Sane, though. If she goes to WWE, well, we're getting nerfed Giulia. She gets nerfed. She's not going to be the same pro wrestler. And that's a shame. You know? I think she's she's taken to coming to North America a little more. I think she enjoys it a little more. I think she's a little disgruntled with, at the very least, Bushi Road these days. I don't think there's stuff going on, and I'm not quite sure, that she's she's full on excited about stuff happening in Stardom right now. But look, I mean, just give me the Mercedes Moné Giulia match before anyone fucks off again. How about that? Is that fair? Is that fair? So anyway, lots of contract talk going on, and I gotta tell you again, like, this is healthy. This is good. People should be able to move around more. They should be able. Earlier in the live stream, we were talking about the territories, right? Well, that was it, right? It's like territories. You go hang out, you leave Mid-South, you go to Mid-Atlantic. You go there for a while, and then you move. Moving around benefits the wrestlers, benefits the business, benefits everyone. It's good. It's good. We get excited when people start moving around. Why do you think we get excited when Tony Khan puts on these, as we like to call them, the cool matches, bringing in guys from other promotions? You're like, oh, fucking right, let's go, let's have Vikingo and Commander and Penta go at it like that. This is a cool match, Let's have Kazuchika Okada drop out of nowhere, This is like, this kind of movement is good, and it's important, and it should happen. So it doesn't worry me. The results might bum me out, because if Giulia goes to WWE, well, it's another wrestler that I will not be seeing regularly wrestle at the level that I know they're capable of. So that bums me out. It'll be the same thing if Ospreay decides to go to WWE. Like, selfishly, I'll be like, oh, okay. But if Ospreay is happy and everything, that's all that matters. And it's good for the business. Like I said, that kind of shit, you can't put a price on it. It's just good for the business. It's good stuff. All right. Let's get into some reviews. We had a big New Japan show this weekend. The last big show. Big show on the road to Wrestle Kingdom. Is it? No way. No, I'm lying, right? There's another show before this. No. There's another show before this. Getting ahead of myself. New Japan Power Struggle happened on November 4th, 2023 at the Edion Arena in Osaka, Japan. I thought this was a good show. Overall. Capped off by one of the best wrestling matches you'll see this year. Let's just dive in. We'll go from the bottom all the way to the top. That's the only way we know how to do it. But there's some things we're going to pass over a little quickly, such as Oleg Boltin, Taguchi, and the DKC in the, what do they call it? The Frontier Zone match, right? Where they bring in guys from other promotions. Here, Mochizuki Jr., Strong Machine J, and Yoshiki Kato. All right, it's fine. That's all right. Fun little match here. Taguchi wins with an ankle lock. Let's move on. Oscar Lube and Yuto Nakashima, the Young Lions, obviously lost to Jeff Cobb and Callum Newman of the United Empire. let's keep going. Now, Mochi Jr. is very good, but we didn't see much of him here. Then we had a tornado 4-way tag match where El Desperado and Master Wato, aka Desperado, defeated the teams of the Bullet Club War Dogs, Clark Connors and Joe Maloney, the current IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, Tag Team Junior Heavyweight Champion, Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. The TMDK duo of Kosei Fujita and Robbie Eagles, and Yo and Musashi. So this is a bit of a culmination of the Super Junior Tag League. All teams that didn't qualify for the finals, so on and so forth. But look, fun little thing again. Very quick in and out. Just over 5.5 minutes. I thought this was fine. I thought this was good. I like the finish. You have Robbie Eagles, who's got Musashi, if I'm not mistaken, right? Let me make sure here. Yeah, he's got Musashi in the Ron Miller special. And Musashi's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. But then El Desperado, they always one step ahead, always thinking. He grabs Kosei Fujita and he wraps him up, he ties him up, and then Fujita taps. And then Robbie Eagles is like, shit, I got this other guy and I couldn't save my partner. Again, fine, these opening matches on New Japan shows, they're, appetizers, mise en bouche, right? This is what we're doing here. Kushida, Kevin Knight, and Tama Tonga were in a team, and they defeated the LIJ team of Shingo Takagi, Titan, and Bushi. This was all right. Fun little match as well. Again, I don't have strong impressions here. However, I did find that Titan was doing a lot of the work here, and Titan is great, and Titan rules. And I don't think you gotta dive into some CMLL to see just how fucking great Titan is. And he gets this hot tag here where he just leads to a big exchange between him and Shingo. Not Tama Tonga, excuse me, gets the big hot tag, excuse me. Excuse me. And he gets a gun stun on Bushi for the win. But this was really buoyed. This match was really buoyed by the work of Titan and Shingo, because Shingo's one of the best fucking wrestlers on the planet. And Tama Tonga too, who I thought he had his working boots on. Fun little match. Then we had the LIJ team of Tetsuya Naito and Yota Tsuji. Huge Tsuji. I'll pronounce it correctly. I'll do the bit correctly. They defeated the Just Five Guys team of Sanada and Yuya Uemura. Great work here by the young guys. And this was the thing. Look, there will not be. Okay, hang on. Let's get the positives out of the way first. Commentary was putting over how big of a deal Yuya and Yoda are in this position. Young lions, having their, a built-in rivalry that goes back to their training days, and now they're both angling to become big stars in the company, and they're both being eyed for big things. Don't let anyone fool you about how the office feels about Uemura. They love him as well. They love all of the new guys. I think they might have lost a little. I think Ren Narita might have lost a little luster, but they haven't given up on him. I'll tell you what. But what you had in this match were these two guys setting some foundations for at least another decade of rivalries, right? And of matches that were. It was kind of like in the G1 this year, right? In what was it, A block, when you had with the A block, the Sonata block there that had all the young guys, and you had and you had all the and you had all the you had all the the young guys squaring off against each other, and you're like, we're making history here. I think I even talked about it during the reviews. Historical matches, like, we're setting the foundations for a great future here, and the idea here for these two guys to get into to get into it is exactly that too. We're not in the G1, we're in a tag team, but it's still in a tag team match, and it's still the same idea. We're setting down the foundations for the future in regards to these two guys here. Now, when it comes to Sanada and Tetsuya Naito, I don't think there will be enough Road to matches to get me excited about Sanada in the main event of Wrestle Kingdom. There's going to be more. There's going to be more, because this is how they're going to build the match. But Sanada he's dead man walking at this point. He's, lame duck. Like, the inevitability right now of Tetsuya Naito winning the belt, the big one, at the Dome this year it's like it's consecrated by the gods at this point. Not pulling the trigger here would be the ultimate swerve. It would be the ultimate swerve. Whereas if you, and Sanada was already struggling beforehand, being the champ, getting reactions. He got virtually no reaction again on this one at Power Struggle. He's up against like the fucking most popular guy in the company, right? The guy who just they can't keep the merch on the shelves long enough. They keep So what are we doing? What are we doing here with this? We're going to have a series of Road to shows, and it's not going to elevate me into getting excited about this. At this point, I just want this match done with. I just want the anxiety of the possibility that Gato might just pull a swerve and be like, nope, Sanada wins the big one in the Dome. I just want that anxiety that I have, that little festering little blister in the, at the base of my heart. I just want that to go away. Then we had David Finlay versus Tanga Loa. All right, listen, it's not a great match. I think it was fine. Finlay was in the driver's seat. He had to get the big win, especially why I, especially when you consider, with foresight. No, not foresight. When you look back on things, hindsight. Foresight is the opposite, Warren. Especially with what happened, in the main event. He had to get the win here. We had to get this out of the way. Can we stop with this Bullet Club, GOD stuff? I'm so dead in the water with it, but and I don't understand the Tanga Loa. And here, look, I was talking about this with Jay Michael of the Super J Cast. We were chatting about it because I flat out asked him. I said, "Help me out here, because I don't understand. I don't understand the Tanga Loa singles push all of a sudden. Outside of suddenly we're pulling the plug on, or not we're pulling the plug, but Tanga Loa is pulling the plug on his career. Outside of an imminent retirement, where it's like, okay, Gato is like, well, thank you for everything you've done. You've been loyal, so on and so forth. We're going to give you a proper send-off. Outside of that, like, I don't get it. And, Jay Michael's thoughts were like, well, like he finds it difficult to pin down as well, but he says, look, the Japanese crowds seem to like him. You know, he gets good reactions in Tokyo and Osaka and, you know, Fukuoka. He gets the good reactions, and, you know, and what does he do otherwise? Like, what do you do with this guy? I know a lot of people said, go to WWE, go to WWE. Tanga Loa he's close to his 40s, right? Let's see here. He's 40. He's 40. His knees are destroyed. Do you see him going to WWE and starting the fuck over? Like, I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, look, we already talked too much about this match. But I will say that I found that Finlay in this match was a lot more vicious than what we had seen recently. Chat. Okay, you're not wrong. He was a lot more aggressive, a lot angrier than we had seen him in quite a few matches. Look, if he had this level of grit during the G1, I think he would have had an overall better, more memorable performance than what we ended up having this year. Anyway, now this is the point we get into, as we like to say, the business end of the show. The Great Okan and Jon Moxley came out to a double count out. Listen, I already want to try to say too much. They come out, they brawl on the floor. Somehow the bell gets rung. It doesn't matter. They're in the audience. They get counted out. I'm sitting there and I'm going, this was kind of rad, but also kind of dumb, because I was looking forward to this. But it's also kind of rad, but also kind of dumb. And I'm writing down my NR, right? Not rated, because, you know, I'm not rating this shit. But then Jon Moxley hits the ring, grabs a mic, and he makes the match. He says, no, I didn't fly all the way to Japan to do this. I'm like, yeah, I sure hope you didn't. And he's like, yeah, no, we're doing this, and we're gonna make it false count anywhere. And I'm like, look at Jon Moxley, New Japan matchmaker. Yeah, he's coming for your job, Rocky. You better watch your back, brother. You got the perfect storm here. God damn, this was fun, right? And this is what Moxley brings, I believe, in 2023. Chaos. He brings just chaos to professional wrestling and professional wrestling matches. You know, New Japan isn't the hotbed for wild hardcore matches. You know, you don't see those very often. It's another style, it's another type. It's something that, you know, one of the reasons why a lot of us gravitate to Puro is because of that, right? But then Moxley arrives and he's got, you know, his energy, his swagger, and he's doing this, and they go falls count anywhere. And then they brawl and they're throwing themselves into the chairs. And Great Okan has a cart, he has a little push cart. He puts Moxley on and he shoves him into the chairs. And I'm sitting on my chair and my arms are in the air. And this is so, I just watched, friends, a 12-minute Tanga Loa match. Thank you. Thank you for this. Mox gets shoved into, and he's blading. We've got color. And they're just beating the shit out of each other, and Mox gets rolled up in some tarp, and he's bleeding so much that it's pooling in the tarp, and he's just getting way late, and it's a blast, and Moxley cuts Great Okan's braid, which I'm like, holy shit. I don't think we cannot underscore the significance of this. I thought that was a big move. And I love this spot where there, Mox is, he's got the little, not a crazy, we've seen Mox with Wilder Crimson masks. He's got himself nonetheless a nice little, gusher going, right? And Great O'Khan goes to apply the claw hold, and his hand just like slips off, and just zip, straight off the head because of all the blood. So he just a Death Rider Bulldog choke. Great O'Khan gives up. A nice, refreshing. It broke the rhythm a little bit of the show. Gave us something unexpected. Tremendous, great stuff. Jon Moxley is probably going to end up being one of my top 5 favorite professional wrestlers of all time, and he is a modern day Terry Funk. He just comes in and does shit, and it is amazing. And he's just like relentless. No, his matches aren't necessarily 5-star classics in the dome, but that's not what he's for. That's not what Jon Moxley is for. Jon Moxley, no one wrestles like him. No one has his energy. Can you imagine? We're talking about AEW, right? A little earlier on in the show. Think about this. This is a guy who dumped a secure, cushy job because he wanted to do this shit. You think he's not happy doing this? This is what he got residency in Japan because he wants to do this more. How can you not get behind that kind of energy, that kind of authenticity towards our great sport, the sport of kings? I'm being, facetious here, but still the point stands. How can you not be supportive of that? How can you not get into that? The fuck was Dean Ambrose? I cannot remember Dean Ambrose. Great stuff. I give it 4 stars. All right, then I have to skip forward here. Oh yeah, and then never open weight 6-man tag team titles were on the line. Kazuchika Okada, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Tomohiro Ishii defeated the TMDK trio of Zack Sabre Jr., Mikey Nicholls, and Shane Haste. Dustin Firestein, nice to see you and welcome. But goddamn, the never open weight 6-man tag team titles, like some of the one of the most unimportant, insignificant titles in New Japan history are now in the hands of these 3 legends, have become centerpieces of the mid-card of these shows. It is chat's on a roll tonight. This was tremendous. The good thing here's I can understand the idea. You can understand the reason maybe that brought this idea forward, right? That they decided to do this, right? They wanted to. It's a good way to keep Okada out of a main event picture, keep a title on him, keep him busy, keep doing things maybe not too high profile, but not like bottom barrel stuff either. He fits right in and it works, right? And the same thing with Tanahashi. And Tanahashi, there's a whole bunch of other considerations, in regards to his health, his body, so on and so forth. It's a nice little way to keep 2 of arguably your company's biggest stars busy, doing something that feels keeping them busy, defending titles, being there on the mid card, doing stuff, but without taking over spots at the very tippy top that might be reserved for other people, like Sonata. Anyway, so we got we got ourselves a series of defenses against random tag teams, against the fucking, John Moxley coming in with Claudio and teaming up with Shota. In a tremendous, when was this? Like, this was it at Dominion? I think it was at Dominion, right? It's a tremendous match. You're like, this is so much fun. And we're getting the same thing here. And on top of that, on top of wrestling these legends, on top of wrestling, Tomohiro Ishii, probably one of the greatest in New Japan of all time, right? You're adding Zack Sabre Jr. in this, who is having a banner year. Will Ospreay, Orange Cassidy. Well, what about Zack Sabre Jr.? And commentary's been pushing forward. He's the winningest champion. And not only is he the winningest champion, like in New Japan history, I don't remember what the accolade is. I apologize. But whatever the accolade is, it doesn't matter. Not only does he have a great win rate, his matches are outstanding. And he has been the best version of himself throughout the entire year. And you're putting him in these situations with Shane Haste and Nichols, the buddies, so much chemistry. There's just so much chemistry in this entire match that it gripped you just throughout the fantastic near falls to the moment that TMDK are landing finishers on each other, and Okada's playing the hits and Tanahashi's playing the hits. We're not reinventing the wheel here, but it's a dynamic, fun match. And everyone's working hard. It all ruled from top to bottom. Great 6-man tag match. Tana rolls up Zack Sabre Jr. for the surprise win. Great cohesion between the guys in TMDK. Sabre shined. He's tremendous. And we get a nice little tease for Hiroshi Tanahashi and Zack Sabre Jr. for the television title. The television title has been such, I think I bring this up every time, but I think it's a truth. Can I speak in an absolute here? Let me speak in an absolute here. The TV title, when they brought it in, the New Japan executive saying, this is the title that we're going to use to elevate the new young stars. We're going to put this on the new guys coming up. That's what we're doing, right? That's what they said. And they go and strap it on Zack Sabre Jr. Everyone's like, what the fuck, But this title means something because of Zack Sabre Jr., because of the work he's put in. He's made this belt. Retrospective, hindsight being 2020, it's the perfect decision. This title is good. It's exciting. It's meaningful. The reign is exciting. It is the most relevant belt in the company right now. It's awesome. Then we had the finals of the Super Junior Tag League 2023, where my boys Catch-22 defeated the House of Torture. Hey, Warren. Yes. No, let me do that again. Hey, Warren. Yes. What do you think of a Super Junior Tag League match tournament this year? Well, thank you for asking, hypothetical person over here. I watched a couple of things, but I just could not get into it. And I don't think it broke down any barriers either. I don't think, like in my haunts and whatnot, very little buzz. Very little buzz. I don't think it hit any notes. I think it would have, look, it's like I said when I previewed it really quickly a couple of weeks ago. I think it would have benefited from a couple of guys from, it would have benefited from a CMLL team. It would have benefited from people from another promotion coming in. Just juice it up a little bit, make it a little more interesting. I thought, with the stuff that I watched, I thought, it's fine. And every time I'm like, can't we just have Catch-22 wrestle all the time? Because I will hammer this home until the fucking end of time. Catch-22 is one of the top 3 tag teams in the world. And I sincerely believe this. And they proved they get, look, the match is what it was. It's House of Torture. So you have to there's shit you have to put up with, unfortunately. And it drags it down. Cause I want to watch fucking I want to watch TJP and Francesco Akira go wild. I want them to put on a classic. I want them to do what they do best. And instead, everyone comes in and gangs up on them, the entire House of Torture. And Dick Togo. Yujiro. Jesus Christ. What are we doing? Sack of turnips. Anyway. They get the win. Catch-22. They are so they're going to Wrestle Kingdom to fight Hey, I forgot to talk about. Oh, well, listen, I'll finish this, and I forgot to mention earlier. Oh, geez. Big mistake, Warren. They're going to fight the War Dogs at Wrestle Kingdom for the titles. The great thing, the thing that really, really makes Catch-22 extraordinary is that their matches they always feel like they're looking out for each other, right? They feel like a tag team, which is weird to say because they should be, but don't forget, these are 2 singles guys that were thrown together, and they were like, you know what, we're going to make this work, and we are going to make this work really, 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 really well. And they react to each other, and they there's these instances. One of my favorite things in Catch-22 matches is when one of the guys is in trouble and the other guy starts to pull double duty, and you feel he's pulling double duty, right? You feel like they're in peril, and they're able to translate that. They're able to convey that, and they gel together like they're a team that's been wrestling together for a fucking decade. And they're good, they're smooth, they're precise. I'm a simple man. I just like good wrestling. And what they provide is better than good. It's great. The match overall, like I said, this match, and you sit through it, it happens, let's move on. But fantastic stuff. And I forgot to mention, I'm going to have to backtrack here. I can't believe it. After the never openweight 6-man title match, appears on the Titantron, won the Titantron. It's not the Tonytron either. The Obaritron. Appears one Daniel Bryanson. Bryan Danielson pops up on screen to challenge Kazuchika Okada with a big old eye patch at Wrestle Kingdom. There you go. All the rumors have been said. And here's the thing, like, I'm convinced now that Danielson is hurt, because I wasn't sure if he was hurt. Because this little wrinkle that comes in here saying, every time that he wrestles Okada breaks a part of his body. I like it. I think it's something that can be used in the match as well. It's a good little story. But, then it was reported, I think it's even Danielson who said it himself, right? It's like, I got my orbital bone got fractured in my match with Andrade. So it's like, so for a while I was thinking it was a work to add a little more beef to the Wrestle Kingdom match. But then when they started talking about, no, it's Andrade who hurt me, I was like, well, maybe it's not a work then. But then it still could be, because Danielson is a fucking worker. You love him for it. I just think the coincidence of oh yeah, he needs surgery and he'll be back by the end of the year. And I'm like, oh, just in time for January 4th. Just in time for the 4th of January. But listen, no one is disappointed at this. Are you disappointed? Are you? What about you over there? Don't think so. Apparently, Danielson was supposed to go there live, but because of the injury, he couldn't fly. I think that was a smart decision. Hiromu Takahashi defeated Taiji Ishimori to retain the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. I enjoyed this. I thought this was good. I thought this was very good. I give it like a 3.75 out of 5. You know? And I know like Taiji Ishimori is he's a polarizing guy. I know there's a lot of people who think he's boring, or he's a power junior, and I think he's tremendous. And I think he has this kind of balance that works really well in the junior division in New Japan. And maybe it's because his title reigns have been very nondescript, little long, and without any real punch to them. The Hiromu's had a tremendous year. I mean, look, this isn't the greatest match that you'll watch this year, but I thought it was some very solid work nonetheless. They were dropping each other very well. Yeah, and Ishimori, I felt, was a little sloppy at times in the match, right? Takahashi at some point blocks La Mystica, and he struggles to get Ishimori back on his shoulders, and Ishimori flips out of a time bomb a little clumsily. It wasn't super smooth. I get it, he's dropping German suplexes and lariats, and he's beating the tar out of Hiromu. And yeah, listen, no, I don't have much of an issue with this match. Was it great? No. Was it good? It was very, very good. I enjoyed it. And after the match, Hiromu grabs the mic. He says, I'm picking my next challenger, and my next challenger is El Desperado. And I am excited about that because they put on one of my favorite matches of the year of 2021. If I'm not mistaken, in the midst of that dismal pandemic era. I was very, very happy about that. That's the one where they were tearing at the mask and so on and so forth. And yeah, it makes perfect. I think it's a great dome match. Let these guys have another great match at Wrestle Kingdom in front of people this time, like lots of people who can cheer and make fucking noise. I'm excited for that. And then the main event, where Will Ospreay defeated Shota Umino. I went 5 stars. It is match of the year for me. Just tremendous. Absolutely tremendous, exhilarating matches that make you feel shit. Matches that give you the impression you're watching something important, that you're watching something significant. We're talking about, historical milestones here. Plant a flag here for Shota Umino. Shota Umino, a guy who earlier this year I had become, I was going to say ambivalent, but no, I had crossed him out. Right? Very, very rough start to his year. Like, well, what's going on here? Then he has that dismal match with Tetsuya Naito early on. Don't think it was at New Year's that, but look, it was early in the year. I was like, I'm out on this guy. He's pretending to be too many people at once. He's Naito, he's Tanahashi, he's Jon Moxley. Pick a flavor. But little bastard won me back. I'm sure he heard the criticisms, and I'm sure he took it to heart, and he worked to change that. And this is a guy that the company put a lot of stock in. And a lot of us were sitting around going, does he have it in him? And he starts building himself back up. Has this, this little feud with Okada, which was a lot of fun. He had a good G1. He had some solid showings there. Now comes out of the gate with this fucking match. This is the match, as the kids like to say, that showed that he has that dog in him, as the kids like to say. Look, we're going to talk about Shota Umino because we don't have much to say about Will Ospreay. It's redundant at this point. Will Ospreay, one of the greatest. He's fantastic. What can we add in our analysis of Will Ospreay that we haven't already said like half a dozen times already this year? What am I saying? Half a dozen? Maybe it is a dozen. I've lost count. We're going to talk about Will Ospreay in a little while too. But Will is in this, he gets into this mode, this just overtly violent, just vicious aspect of him, right? And it's not a characterization. It's not over the top. It's not, Ibushi when he gets murder written all over his face, right? It's not that. It's just, he becomes so methodical and brutal and violent. Tell me the visual of Will Ospreay straddling Shota Umino, pinning his arms between his legs and just forearming him. Tell me that visual is not going to stick with you. Tell me New Japan is not going to use that over and over again. Got tables in this. We got a Tiger Driver through the tables off the apron. We got Avalanche Death Riders. We got the Tiger Driver 91. We got Swinging Death Riders. They're both down at some point. They're just throwing everything at each other. The fantastic spot where Shota gets back at Will for the arm spot, right? And he's just walloping him. Then he lands a Death Rider. He lands it, and as if he's just like made out of fucking rubber, Ospreay just bounces up off the apron and lands a hidden blade like out of instinct, and then they're both down. And in the meantime, they get Jon Moxley out. Just a fantastic touch. Jon Moxley comes out to support Umino. Cheer him on as he's just getting the shit beat out of him. And he's weak, and he's just like on instinct, and he's not fighting back, and Ospreay is just like, stay down. Here, I will hit you harder so you can stay down. Moxley he's just encouraging him on. It's like, don't give up. And he doesn't, and it lights him up, and it lights everyone up in the fucking building. I saw Shota Umino on November 4th, 2023. This is the guy. And I can get behind this. Now, you can absolutely make the argument. Well, who's going to have a bad match with Will Ospreay in 2023? I don't disagree. But Shota Umino didn't just like get carried along here. He contributed. He gave. He made this match just as special as Will did. This was a team effort. This was the dance. I loved every second of this match. One of my favorite matches this year. Will retains. After the match, Will challenges Jon Moxley, says, get in here. And I'm like, there's our Wrestle Kingdom. There's our Wrestle Kingdom match. This is all that's left for Will to do. And he's holding up the belts. And then Dave Finlay comes in and he just does a bunch of bullshit. takes out both guys with the shillelagh and then destroys the belts with an oversized hammer, which I think it was, I can't remember who said that it was a tribute to the Fiend. Oh, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Here's the thing. I don't know how to feel about David Finlay anymore. I was 100% in on him taking out Jay White, punking him out, then heading over to take over Bullet Club and, you know, reshaping it, giving it a new fresh coat of paint. Violent guys, right? What did he say? He said, you know, not t-shirt models. I want, I can't remember the word he used, but I'm sorry. Anyway. And I was into it. I was like, okay, let's see what he can do. Let's see what he's got. And Gato's behind him. Gato's propping him up. I'm like, okay, well, he's got the support. The company is there. The booker is there. But we've seen a couple of splashes of brilliance here and there, but what's missing from the Dave Finlay arsenal right now, the one thing that's missing is the great match. This is what's missing. Can Dave Finlay get a great match in New Japan Pro Wrestling, a promotion whose top performers are expected to have great matches? Now, our wishes of a Jon Moxley, Will Ospreay match at Wrestle Kingdom have been dashed because we're getting a three-way. We're getting a three-way match again for the new belt, whatever it's going to be. And I'm really bummed about that. I'm super bummed. I don't like three-ways when it comes to titles. Build up a challenger. I don't see what this adds. This is what it says to me. This is what this says to me. One of these two guys, Jon Moxley or Will Ospreay, was told by whoever's going to hire them that they cannot lose to the other guy. I feel politics in this. You want to get really sad? I think this is a case of AEW saying, we can't let our guy be beaten get pinned by the WWE guy. And the WWE saying, we can't let our guy get pinned by the AEW guy. Are you depressed yet? This is what I'm feeling. I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but my gut, my innards they're making me feel all sorts of ways. There's a reason. There's a reason this was turned into, this is a three-way match, and why Finlay is there. And most likely there to eat the pin. For whom? We'll see. We'll see on January 4th, 2024. But I don't like the optics of it. Doesn't make me feel good. Kind of makes me sad. I'm already bummed out that it's a three-way. Now they're bringing in a new belt to replace the old. And apparently it's going to be a new belt. It's not. They're not reigniting the Intercontinental title. It's a new belt. I can't. Look, I know there's people who are very disappointed that, oh, I can't believe they're scrapping the history, the lineage of the IWGP United States title. I'm like, what? Who fucking cares about the US title? Who cares? You all know why this title was created in the first place, right? You all know why it was created for to begin with, right? It was for the expansion, for the U.S. expansion of New Japan. Well, now they're not doing that anymore. And besides, they started up their own brand in the U.S. called Strong. And they have a strong openweight champion in Eddie Kingston. And then they have the women's, and, with Giulia and tags and all of that, which are acting as the US-based titles. And to some degree, the strong openweight titles, or the strong openweight championship is more significant than the US title is. And it's part of their US plans regardless. So who cares? The great lineage of the IWGP, who cares? Who cares? I saw people losing their minds at this. They're not, these titles have no real prestige, and they've lost their luster. Kenny Omega, Jay White, Juice, Cody, John Moxley, Lance Archer, Tana, Kenta, Sanada, who held it for an hour. And Kenny Will. Who cares? Who cares? No skin off my ass, I'll tell you what. I am much more concerned about what this match represents at Wrestle Kingdom. I am much more concerned about that. And I am still very much concerned about whether or not Dave Finlay has it in him. Again, I saw a guy show me he had it in him. I saw Shota Umino deliver. So, our Wrestle Kingdom card so far looks like this, folks. Sanada versus Tetsuya Naito in the main event, of course, for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Kazuchika Okada versus Bryan Danielson. Clark Connors and Drilla Maloney versus Catch 2-2 for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship. Hiromu Takahashi versus El Desperado for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. The other one was for the Tag Team Championship. I think I forgot to mention that. And Will Ospreay versus John Moxley versus Dave Finlay for the whatever title they're going to pull up. We've hinted at Zack Sabre Jr. versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. I think that's fine. And we're also going to get, the finals of, not the finals, but the winner of World Tag League taking on the tag champions, which are currently... I don't remember. It's Bishamon, right? It's Bishamon because Goto's injured. Right? I mean, look, you guys know how I feel about the tag team champion, about the tag teams in New Japan. It's not like it doesn't get me excited. I think it's kind of lame. Yeah, it is Bishamon. Okay. So that was Power Struggle. I thought this was a good show. Compounded by a remarkably great main event, an excellent main event, and then like I said, on the business end of the show, you're going to get some great stuff. Mox and Great O'Connor is just a blast. The six-man never open weight, six-man never open weight championships is fantastic. Good little junior championship defense by Hiromu. Like, there's a lot of good stuff and an eventful show on top of that. Yeah, if you're strapped for time, you can literally skip the entire first half of the show until you get to Mox and Great O'Khan. You absolutely can do that. But yeah, I'd recommend it. And now, another review. This time, it is for Impact Turning Point 2023. One of the last times we're going to be calling it Impact. Guys, gals, non-binary pals. This show was taped a couple of weeks ago. Well, not a couple of weeks ago. At this point, like, what, 10 days ago, 11 days ago? It was taped on October 27th, but was broadcast. We got to watch it last Friday on November 3rd, 2023, from the Walker Activity Dome in Newcastle, England. You know, I thought that this is one of these weird shows where it's a good show. It's a good but an unremarkable show. You know, where it's just like, that's fine. You know, it's like eating an after eight. You know what I'm talking about? You know the after eight. You know what after eights are? Chocolate. Look, if you live in Canada, I'm convinced you know what I'm talking about. Especially around the holidays, right? We're getting into the holiday season. You know, everyone, all your aunts, your uncles, your grandmothers, they all have a little box of after eights for the holidays, right? And they pop it open, and then you pull it out, and it's in a little pouch, it's a thin mint, essentially what it is. They call them after eights, and they make them look fancy. You can look it up on Google right now. There's a nice little grandfather clock on the logo, and it's all green and regal looking. And you pull that out, and it's in a little pouch, and you pull it out, and you nibble on it, and it's mint chocolate, and who the fuck cares? Like, and it's not even great. It's not even like, it's very basic bullshit that you can buy at a pharmacy. It's nothing really fancy, but it has the pretense of being fancy, right? That's the difference. So basically, so you're eating it and you're like, this is pretty good. But then it's like, it's an after eight. It doesn't matter. That's what Turning Point felt like. It's like, I'm enjoying it as I'm watching, but then I'm like, it's all right. You know, so, you know, for longevity's sake here, because I am going long, go figure. And I do want to do a quick preview of the Lonestar Shootout show. Let's just buckle down, and my notes are all over the place on this one because I was watching anyway, you don't need to know the details because I was watching three things at once. Well, not at once, but and then my notes are all over the place. That's all you need to know, is that my notes. Okay, Impact Turning Point. Okay, no, but that's not okay. The match opened up. The show opened up with Eric Young and Josh Alexander defeating Subculture. A fun opener, nice, energetic, dope little opener. Eric Young getting a tremendous welcome home. Of course, Eric Young spent quite a bit of time in England in some of his formative years, and clearly the Newcastle audience made sure that that he remembered that they still love him there. Here's a guy who I'm sure made the best decision for his career that he wanted. Right, the only fucking guy out of that entire company, that entire roster of people, was like, Vince McMahon is back? No, I'm hitting the bricks. Anyway, good little match. I thought, I think Subculture are a tremendous tag team. I feel they're better than this. Maybe a bit of an off night. I don't know. Really great final third. Get Frankensteiners and power bombs on the knee by Josh Alexander. He wins the match with his C4 spike. I thought this was very good. I thought it was very close to a 4-star match. 3.25 I gave this. Giselle Shaw took on Alex Windsor. Good long match here, and cage match has it at 5 and 5-7-1. I thought this was one of Giselle. I thought the women were all really good. I thought the women were all really good throughout this entire show. And I thought Giselle Shaw had her best match in a long time. She wrestled Alex Windsor, who is a tremendous wrestler in and about herself. And on top of that, she and Giselle wrestled dozens upon dozens of times against each other. Giselle was, for most of the pandemic, if I'm not mistaken, she was in the UK. Look, it all worked out. And I thought this was a good, strong match and solid, energetic. I gave it a 3 1/4 match. I thought this was very good. We will never fault Giselle for being the most precise pro wrestler on earth, but she brought her working boots. She worked hard. Alex Windsor and her bring the best out of each other. This was a strong match. I really liked it. Then we had Rich Swann taking on Trey Miguel. Good little energetic kick frenzied match. If you were just in for it for the strikes and the kicks to the faces, this was a lot of fun. Rich Swann wins with a 450. And Trey Miguel gets the arm up just after the 3 count hits. Like 3, and then he lifts his. So that'll probably feed into an angle, I guess. This was fine. I enjoyed it though. Then we had Jordan Grace defeating Dani Luna. Dani Luna, the third member of Subculture. I thought this was very good. Strong, power-based offense strikes. We're doing German suplexes through the ropes, gory bombs. Dani Luna she pulls out the Judas effect at some point. Got a big chuckle out of me, but she eats the Juggernaut driver for the win. I gave this 3.5. I thought this was very, very good. Jordan's very good. I hadn't seen Dani Luna wrestle in a while, so this was good. Great environment. And, the crowd was into it. Of course, the British crowds always bring something special, but always tremendous and a very good match. Now, the one bummer that I had, a legitimate, bottom bummer, was the Joe Hendry Simon Miller match. Simon Miller, of course, of the, ups and downs, what culture and whatnot. And he's doing promos. They have all sorts of packages, and they attacked each other, whatever. And Simon Miller, a guy who makes a living talking, right, getting in front of a camera, and a guy who is very charismatic, very eloquent, has a great sense of humor, great sense of timing. I thought he's a very dry promo. When he cut his promo in the ring sort of to get the Newcastle people against him, to turn them again, he called them dopes or whatever. I don't remember. Very basic insults. I'm like, and it was all very basic. It was just, and I was a little surprised. I'm like, really? Okay, he's out of his environment, doesn't have his script, his teleprompter. I don't know. There's no retake. I don't know. I was surprised at how dry this was, Anyway. And I thought the match was, the match was short and not much happened in it. I wasn't if this was Simon Miller's tryout, I don't know, man. I believe in Joe Hendry, though. Then we had Brian Myers and Moose defeating Chris Sabin and Frankie Kazarian. I have absolutely, I absolutely have, nothing to invest in a Moose match, and this tag team with Brian Myers is not doing it for me. And Look, I don't know. Is it unprofessional to say I checked out of this match? I was watching it and I was like, all right, there's stuff happening, but I just cannot get into a Moose match. And I know, look, I know that he is going to get pushed like hell when the TNA brand comes back. Like he's, they're going to make him the TNA champion proper this time, not just digging back up the old belt. No, they're doing it proper. I know what's coming. I'm not stupid. I'm not blind. But Jesus Christ, man, this is exhausting. And I can't get behind Moose matches. I can't get behind the guy for multiple reasons. And Brian Myers and him, like Brian Myers is so milquetoast, I guess. And yet I've got Chris Sabin on the other side, one of my favorite pro wrestlers. We've got Frankie Kazarian, who can still a fun final third to this match. Don't get me wrong. Sabin and Kaz firing up, but Jesus Christ. This is part of the disconnect between me and the company for pushing Moose. I don't get it. I just don't. It's not for me. Moose lands a spear for the win. Okie dokie. Then we get the Impact Knockouts World title match where Trinity successfully retained her title against Deonna Purrazzo. Deonna cannot challenge for the title as long as Trinity is champion now. And Gail Kim was the special guest referee here to make sure everything was called straight down the middle. And Deonna wasn't sure that everything was called straight down the middle, but it was. And you know what? Guys, gals, and binary pals? You ready for this? Here's the hot take. This was Trinity's best match of her career. Bar none. I don't even think it's negotiable. I don't think you can go back and be like, well, have you thought? No. I really think she over-delivered. She outperformed herself. She rose above whatever expectations I have out of Trinity, who, again, she's a sloppy pro wrestler. She's not precise. She has multiple faults, but here I don't know if it's just charisma. I don't know if it's not charisma, but chemistry between her and Deonna. I don't know if it's Trinity just sort of something clicking. It could be a bunch of things, but this unquestionably was the best match of her career. I'm not going to sit here and throw 5 stars at it. I gave it a 3.5. Thought it was very good. But everything here mattered. Everything she did in here mattered and connected and worked. And she didn't try to work above her station, which is kind of what I feel her and Mickie James did at Bound for Glory. I kind of felt like they both there was some back and forth between them both that didn't quite connect because Trinity's she's not a smooth wrestler. I don't know. Everything worked here. Everything connected, and she had a tremendous match. And Deonna Purrazzo was great. And then after the match, Deonna attacked Trinity, and then she got into a shoving match with Gail Kim, who soul fooded Deonna, and they're probably setting this up for an upcoming show. Deonna versus Gail Kim. Good stuff. And the main event, Will Ospreay defeated Eddie Edwards. Leave it to Eddie Edwards to leave it to Eddie Edwards for bringing for having like Will Ospreay's lowest rated match in months. I look, this was a good match, but this is not anywhere close to what a typical Will Ospreay match is. And I think Eddie Edwards is fine. I think he's a good pro wrestler. Got nothing against him, but he doesn't scream main event to me, and he doesn't scream I will hang with Will Ospreay. This was all right. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't bad. We're grading this on the Ospreay curve, which is probably unfair, right? But then again, Ospreay gets in the ring with just about everyone and he's tearing the place down. He's very good. It's a Will Ospreay match. He's doing all the great the great outstanding moves, but I don't know. It was fine. It was good. Look, I gave it 4 stars out of 5. So it's a great match, but maybe a little underwhelming in the circumstances. I don't know. Look, Will Ospreay professed his love for TNA once again. Good stuff. But there you go. See, overall, this show is another good Impact show, but it's, like I said, it's just one where I'm like, oh, okay then. Like I just don't know. Anyway. That was Impact. Just Impact Turning Point. Just a show that you'll quickly forget about. All right, let's wrap this up with a New Japan Strong Lonestar Shootout preview taking place in Garland, Texas at the Curtis Culwell Center this Friday, November 10. On the pre-show, we're going to have some New Japan guys, the New Japan Academy guys coming out. Matt Vandegrift versus Barrett Brown. And then we have Tom Lawler and Fred Rosser on the pre-show. That's something. That's something you don't see every day. As for the main show, Mascara Dorada is going to be joining us with Tiger Mask and Atlantis, taking on Ultimo Guerrero, Rocky Romero, and Hechicero. Excuse me, I butchered that. Hechicero. And so, little CMLL, little lucha action here. I'm excited for this. This is good. I'm excited for this. And look, if this is going to be your first exposure to Mascara Dorada, this is the new kid. It is not Gran Metalik. It is the guy that we used to know as Mascara Dorada 2.0, but now he's just plain old Mascara Dorada. Yes, there's a big story around it, but I'm not getting into it again. This is a kid who's been lighting up CMLL recently. Just a tremendous talent. So hopefully he'll be able to deliver on some great stuff here. We're going to have some Bullet Club action with Clark Connors, Gabe Kidd, Alex Coughlin, and Chase Owens taking on the Intergalactic Jet Setters, Kevin Knight and Kushida, along with the GOD boys, Tangaloa and Tama Tonga. Could go either way. I'm not quite sure about this. Toriano's going to be in town. He doesn't come to the U.S. very often, but he's going to be here to take on Joey Janela, making his New Japan Pro Wrestling debut. You know what? This is going to be dopey and goofy, and I'm happy that Joey's getting a booking. And I think Janela would be a perfect fit for the Strong environment, right? I like Joey Janela. I might be on an island populated by a few people because I think the majority live on the continent, and I think a lot of I like Joey overall. I don't know. Works for me. Then we're going to have the Strong Openweight Tag Team Championship. Going to be on the line as well. Hikuleo and El Fantasma will be defending against the West Coast Wrecking Crew, Jarrell Nelson and Royce Isaacs. This match was set up at Fighting Spirit Unleashed a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. We got some good elements here. Should be solid. Here's a match I'm excited for. Mystico versus TJP. Jesus Christ. Let's go. Top draw, top guy, tippy top, Mystico taking on TJP, who has wrestled in CMLL, right? He's a Rudo. He's fine. This should be a lot of fun. I'm excited for this one. Just as I'm excited for Eddie Kingston taking on Satoshi Kojima as Kingston defends his Strong Openweight Championship. Eddie Kingston's King's Road continues, wrestling the greats, going all Japan here once again. Let's go. I'm stoked for this. This is going to be a blast, and Kingston is going to be over the moon when he beats Kojima to retain the title. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Mike Bailey for the World Television Championship. This sells itself. Christ. I love this. I'm really excited about this. That's going to rule. 15 minutes on top of that. The final sprint. Great stuff. Tag team match where David Finlay and Kenta will be taking on Jon Moxley and Wheeler Yuta. Gonna set some gonna get some embers burning for this for the Wrestle Kingdom match, I guess. You think Wheeler's being brought in to take the pin here? Or is Kenta gonna do the JOB? We'll find out. Mayu Iwatani is gonna be in town defending the IWGP Women's Championship against Stephanie Vaquer. My money's on Vaquer. I think she's on a roll right now. I think she's on a roll right now. I think she turned a lot of heads in her match with Mercedes Moné during the Strong title tournament, and I think if I had a couple of bucks to spread for this and to put on this, and and if I were into gambling at all, which I'm not, I'd put the money on Vaquer. I think it'd make I think it makes a lot more sense than Iwatani. Not that she's not a great champion or a great wrestler, excuse me. It's just, the Stardom New Japan stuff is very weird. It's weird to me. Should be weird to you too. Vaquer's star is on the rise. Just keep that in mind. And the main event, Never Openweight Championship, Shingo Takagi is going to be in town to defend against Trent Beretta. And don't sleep on this match. This is going to blow your socks off. Fucking great main event. This has the potential to be a big to be a good solid card. I feel has more buzz about it already than the Fighting Spirit show did. The Fighting Spirit show was okay, it was fine, but I think we have the potential to be to do something really great here. I really do. I'm excited for it. This Friday. I will gladly review it for you next week. But for now, we're already talking about next week, but even for now, right now, we got to wrap this up with the weekly. We got to wrap up the weekly wrestling inspection. Now let's wrap it up with it. We're wrapping this up. Gonna wrap up the whole show, actually. That's what we're doing here. That's our cue to get the hell out of here. Thank you, everyone, for joining me today. If you came live here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, I appreciate it. I always love having the chat, hang around, have a good time, and just have a nice Tuesday evening together, because we record every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. If you ever want to come in and join us, we'd love to have you. The door is open. Come on in. Otherwise, if you're listening to this on demand on YouTube, likes, subscriptions help out a great deal. Just as reviews and ratings on Apple Podcasts and Spotify do over on the audio side of things. If you'd be inclined to do that, it'd be much obliged. I'll be back on Thursday for the Dynamite review, Sunday for the Collision review. I need to get my audio queued up here, which I didn't do. There we go. Thank you all for being here. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you next time.